You ever feel like quitting right before something big happens? Like life's beating you down so hard, there's no way you're close to a breakthrough. That's the LIE your mind tells you when you're inches away from changing your entire life. You're not tired because you're done. You're tired because you're about to level up. Don't you dare stop now. Not after everything you've been through. This is the moment that separates the average from the unstoppable. Stay with me. I'm going to show you why the pain means you're almost there. Pain is not the enemy. It's the compass pointing straight toward the version of you that's been buried under years of comfort and distraction. Most people hit pain and run the other way. They treat it like a red light when it's really a green one. That sting you feel, it's your body and mind waking up. And it's the glimmer that you're stepping outside your limits. Growth never announces itself with ease. It walks in wearing the mask of suffering. The moment you start to feel it, that's when you know you're no longer on autopilot. You're alive, you're present, and you're finally doing something that matters. People misunderstand what pain really is. They think it's a message to stop, to retreat, to protect, but it's not. Pain is a test. It's the gatekeeper between who you are and who you could be. Most will never pass through that gate because they're too busy negotiating with discomfort. Every excuse, every rationalization is born in that place of hesitation. But that pain isn't trying to defeat you. It's trying to prepare you. It's showing you the exact spot where your potential is trapped. Only the ones who are willing to face it, to sit in it, to breathe through it, ever get to unlock what's behind it. Comfort zones are cages disguised as luxury. You can decorate the walls with entertainment, with fake smiles, with half-hearted goals, but deep down, you know you're trapped. And the key out, it's pain. The pain of discipline, the pain of sacrifice, the pain of confronting every lazy part of yourself. It's not glamorous, it's gritty, it's ugly, but it's real. When you lean into that resistance, when you stop backing down and start stepping up, that's when you start becoming who you're meant to be. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard and you still show up. Success is not a reward handed out for participation. It's forged in pain. Real success, the kind that lasts, that builds legacy, that transforms lives, comes from enduring what others refuse to endure. You don't get there by avoiding the fire. You walk through it, and every step burns. Every mile tests your will. But what's on the other side of that fire? A version of you is unrecognizable to the old you. A person who doesn't flinch at adversity anymore. A person who knows how to keep pushing when the world says stop. That version isn't born. It's built, brick by brick, rep by rep, through every ounce of pain. There's something inside you that only pain can reveal. It's the truth about who you really are. Not the version that smiles in public, but the one who shows up in silence when no one's watching. Pain strips away the lies. It exposes the weak thoughts, the fake beliefs, the borrowed excuses. And when that curtain is pulled back, you're left with the raw version of you, the version that's either going to quit or fight. And that decision in that moment, that's where transformation begins. Not in comfort, not in motivation, but in pain, in silence, in absolute internal war. People love to talk about success. They love to post it, share it, hashtag it. But what they don't post is the process. The early mornings that feel like death. The workouts that make your body scream. The failures that crush your ego. That's where the real work is done. In the background, in the struggle, in the pain that no one claps for. That's where champions are made. Not in the light, but in the dark. Not when it's convenient, but when it's torture and you still keep showing up. That's the difference between the ones who make it and the ones who dream about it. There yet. But the real battle starts when you're drained, broken, and everything inside screams quit. That's where it counts. That's where success hides. It doesn't come to the first punch. You have to take hit after hit after hit and still keep swinging. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what separates you from the crowd. Not your talent, not your potential, but your ability to endure pain longer than anyone else. Every time you feel that burning in your lungs, that shaking in your legs, that pressure in your chest, you are one step closer. It might not feel like it. It might feel like failure. But pain is the toll gate. Everyone says they want success, but few are willing to pay the full price. That price is discomfort. That price is doubt. That price is pain. Not once, not sometimes, but over and over and over. It never stops costing you. But each payment brings you closer to something real, something earned, something permanent. That's why pain is the proof. You don't need more motivation. You need more exposure to pain. You need to stop avoiding the thing that's trying to shape you. You want to level up? Then stop looking for shortcuts. There is no cheat code to greatness. There is no hack for effort. You either face the pain or you stay stuck. You either fight for your future or surrender to your past. And the weapon that will carry you through it all isn't talent, isn't knowledge, it's grit. It's your ability to keep grinding through the pain when everyone else says, that's enough. That's what turns pain into progress. Everyone wants to win until it gets real, until the work is heavier than the dream, until the sweat drowns the vision board. But this is where it happens. Right here, in the mess, in the strain, in the sacrifice. When you're tired but you keep going. When you're broken but you keep fighting. When every part of you says stop and you go anyway. That's when you're the closest. That's when you're inches from breakthrough. But most people quit right there. Not because they're weak, but because they've misunderstood pain. They didn't know it was the doorway. They didn't know it was a sign that success was right around the corner. Your mind will lie to you before you even get started. It'll whisper that you're not ready, that today's not the day, that you'll try again tomorrow. It's convincing too. Sounds like logic, sounds like protection, sounds like common sense, but it's fear in disguise. The brain is built for survival, not success. It wants to keep you safe, even if that safety is a prison. And every time you listen, you reinforce the walls around your potential. That voice that says, don't try, isn't your intuition, it's your cage. You don't rise by feeling good, you rise by acting in spite of how you feel. The mind is soft by default, built to conserve energy and avoid risk. That's why action must be chosen over emotion every single day. If you wait until you're motivated, you'll never move. If you wait until it feels right, it never will. You can't trust that first thought. It's a trap. You need to override it with movement, because the mind might lie, but action tells the truth. The work doesn't lie, the reps don't lie, the progress doesn't lie. Every time you show up when your mind says don't, you gain ground, even if it's slow, even if it's messy. That's the win. That's the proof that you're building discipline, not just chasing dopamine. People think success is about energy or passion, but it's really about consistency in the face of resistance. The resistance will always be there. That's the mind doing its job, trying to shield you from the unknown. But you don't grow where it's familiar. You grow in the discomfort. You grow in the silence between what you want and what you do. The brain will always offer you the easy way out. Sleep in, skip it today. You're tired. You worked hard yesterday. You deserve a break. These excuses wear different clothes but speak the same language. Softness. Every time you give in, you feed that weakness. You make it stronger. And before you know it, you've built a habit of quitting. But every time you push through, you starve the lies. You teach your mind who's in control. You remind yourself that the goal matters more than the feeling. That the mission is greater than the moment. The most dangerous moment is the second you hesitate. This start. The belief will catch up later. Right now, the goal is to shut the door on the lies before they even speak. There's a moment during every challenge where your mind starts writing your failure. It says, this is too much. It says, you're not built for this. It says, just quit now and try again tomorrow. That's not truth. That's fear wearing your voice. And if you listen, you surrender, not to the task, but to the lie. But if you push past that breaking point, even by 1 inch, something shifts. You take control. You silence the noise. You begin to understand that the limits were never real. They were just accepted. The difference between the winners and the rest is not talent. It's the refusal to believe the first thought. The first thought is soft. The first thought is scared. The first thought wants to run. But the second thought, the one you choose, that's where the power is. That's the thought that says, one more step. That's the thought that says, keep going. You have to train yourself to hear both and choose the one that builds you, not the one that protects you. Because protection isn't growth. Protection is the lie that keeps you small. Your brain will look for evidence to support your comfort. That's how it works. It'll remind you of past failures, of how long it'll take, of how hard it is. It'll show you the gap, not the gain. It'll highlight every weakness but forget every win. That's why you can't rely on your feelings to guide you. They're temporary, they're biased. They're not on your side when things get hard. But the work, the grind, you did it or you didn't. You showed up or you didn't. The scoreboard is always accurate. There's no arguing with effort. You can talk yourself into or out of anything, but you can't lie to the work. The rep doesn't care about your excuses. The run doesn't slow down for your emotions. The goal doesn't move closer because you meant well. It only moves when you do. That's the raw truth most people avoid. They rather feel productive than be productive. They rather dream than execute. But the ones who break through are the ones who stop waiting for the right mindset and start with the right moves. At the end of the day, your progress is the sum of every moment you beat the lie. Every second you chose truth over comfort. Every time you heard you can't and answer with action. It doesn't take talent to win that battle. It takes repetition. It takes grit. It takes showing up when everything inside you says, stay down. Because the brain will always try to protect you from the pain. But the brain is the path. And the only way forward is to stop listening to the lie and start living in the truth of the work. You've already sacrificed too much to quit now. The sleepless nights, the early mornings, the missed events, the lonely hours. None of that was for nothing. But the mind has a short memory. It forgets the struggle and only sees the pain in the present. When you're in the middle of the grind, all you see is how far you still have to go. But step back. Look at how far you've come. Every mile, every setback, every hard choice, it brought you here. You didn't suffer all that to throw it away. You didn't break yourself just to stay broken. You're already deep in the fire. Take that walk through it. People want progress without persistence. They want the win without the war. But the truth is, every inch you've gained came at a cost. That cost was your time, your energy, your comfort. You've paid in full to get this close. Why stop now? Why let it all go to waste when the finish line is finally near? Just because it hurts now doesn't mean it's not working. Just because you're tired doesn't mean you're done. Pain is the proof that you're in it. Quitting won't save you. It'll just make all the pain mean nothing. It's easy to forget the reason you started. The longer the journey, the louder the doubt. But you didn't start this just to say you tried. You started because something inside you said enough. Enough of average. Enough of waiting. Enough of settling. That fire was real and it got you moving. Now that it's hard, now that it's testing you, that's when you need to remember it most. You made a promise to yourself when you began. Now is when it counts. Now is when that promise matters more than ever. There's always a moment before you level up where everything gets harder. It feels like the world is pressing down on you. Your body's tired. Your mind's doubting. Your heart is second guessing. That's not a sign to quit. That's a sign you're right there on the edge. Most people tap out in that moment, not because they're weak, but because they didn't realize how close they were. You can't see the finish line when you're buried in the work, but it's there, just beyond the point where you think you can't go any further. That's where the shift happens. You've already proven you can endure. You've shown up when it was hard. You've pushed when no one was watching. You've fallen and gotten back up more times than you can count. That's not failure. That's foundation. That's the backbone of greatness. You don't start over every time you fall. You pick up where you left off. With more experience, more fight, more wisdom, every breakdown taught you something. Every delay built your patience. Every loss sharpened your hunger. That was all preparation for what's coming next. No one climbs halfway up a mountain just to turn around. No one trains for months to quit during the final stretch. You're not tired of the goal. You're tired from the journey. That's a big difference. Don't confuse fatigue with failure. Don't mistake exhaustion for evidence that you're not built for it. You are. You've already shown that. You're still here, still grinding, still moving. That counts for more than you realize. The ones who win are the ones who outlast the voice that says, stop. When everything inside you says you've had enough, that's the beginning of your next level. That's the point where your body wants rest, but your purpose demands more. It's where most people settle, but not you. You didn't come this far to turn back. That would mean all the pain had no purpose. That would mean every sacrifice was wasted. And deep down, you know that's not the truth. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have more to get still in you. You just have to choose to dig deeper when everything feels empty. The toughest moments are not roadblocks, they're checkpoints. They ask one question: how bad do you want it? Anyone can chase a dream when the road is smooth, but only the committed keep going when the path turns to hell. That's the filter. That's what separates those who almost made it from those who do. If you stop now, you'll never know what could have been. You'll spend your life wondering if you were just one step away. But if you keep going, no matter what, you'll find out exactly how far you can go. Success isn't the finish line. It's a decision you make every single day. The decision to keep showing up, to keep grinding, to keep believing, even when you don't see the results yet. That decision doesn't get easier, it gets heavier. But every time you choose to keep going, you strengthen that muscle. You train your mind to rise, not retreat. And slowly that discipline compounds. The small victories stack. The progress builds. And one day you'll look back and realize you were never as far away as you thought. Right now might be the hardest part. It might feel like nothing is working, like you've hit a wall. The walls are meant to be broken. They're not dead ends. They're the final challenge before the breakthrough. You've made it this far because there's something in you that refuses to settle. Don't silence that now. Don't forget who you've become through this process. You're not the same person who started. You're stronger, smarter, more resilient, and if you just keep pushing a little more, you'll see why the struggle was never in vain. You're not chasing something far away. You're standing right on the edge of it. Most people think success is some distant finish line, something waiting at the end of a perfect plan. But the truth is, it's already within reach. The hard work, the pain, the sacrifice, they've pushed you inches away. It's just that right before the breakthrough, everything feels impossible. That's the deception. The darkness always feels the thickest before the light breaks through. The weight feels heaviest just before it's lifted. Most quit right at that edge, mistaking pressure for failure. But pressure is the proof you're almost there. The signs are subtle, but they're there. When your challenges start to get more intense, it's because you've leveled up. Life doesn't throw bigger storms unless you've grown strong enough to face them. The friction you feel now isn't meant to break you, it's sharpening you. It's shaping the version of you that's ready to handle the next level. You don't face resistance unless you're moving forward. Stillness never gets pushed back. Movement does. That tension you feel, that's forward motion. And if you're feeling it now, it means you're no longer stuck. You're evolving. It's wild how close you can be without realizing it. Most people turn around when it gets hardest, not knowing they were just steps away. You're digging for gold and you've already broken through layer after layer. Now it's just rock and dirt. And your mind starts asking, is this worth it? That's the test. Not of your ability, but of your belief. Because if you could see how close you were, you'd never stop swinging. You wouldn't slow down. You double down. But since you can't see it, you have to trust it. Trust the work. Trust the grind. Every time you push past the point where you normally start, you move closer. The mind always wants to return to what's familiar. It'll try to convince you that where you are is good enough. But you didn't come this far for enough. You came for more. You came to rise, to evolve, to break limits. And limits don't fall by accident. They collapse under pressure, under repetition, under raw, relentless effort. You are closer every time you break your pattern. Every time you go further than before, you stretch your ceiling. People think the final steps are easier, but they're often the hardest. That's when the body is tired, the mind is drained, and everything feels like it's moving in slow motion. Progress becomes invisible, but invisible progress is still progress. It's the slow chipping away that builds the masterpiece. That's where most stop, because they mistake the silence for failure. They don't realize the work is still working, that the momentum is still building, that growth doesn't always shout, it whispers. And if you're still moving, still grinding, you're not far, you're right on the brink. You don't get tested like this unless something great is on the other side. This intensity is a signal. You don't suffer this much in the middle. You suffer at the edge of breakthrough, the edge of new levels. When everything seems to be falling apart, that's often when it's coming together behind the scenes. Your patience is being tested, your faith is being forged. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Most people give up in this phase because they think struggle is the enemy, but struggle is the currency of success. Look back for a second, not to dwell, but to recognize. Everything you've come through has brought you here. You've already conquered mountains that once looked impossible. You've overcome things that used to scare you. That's not random, that's growth. And if you could do all that, you can do this. You're not at the beginning anymore. You're in deep. And from here, there's only one way to go through. The old you couldn't handle what you're facing now, but the you standing here today can. That's the difference. That's why you're close. Every day you wake up and keep showing up, you prove you're not done. You prove that your purpose is stronger than your pain. You prove that you're willing to go to war for what matters. That kind of mindset doesn't go unrewarded. It's just that the reward doesn't come with fanfare. It comes in silence, in moments when you least expect it, in breakthroughs that appear after 1,000 quiet battles. That's how it works. Keep fighting the small wars. Keep stacking the tiny wins, because they're building something massive. The process doesn't lie. You can fake motivation, but you can't fake consistency. You can't fake showing up. And when you've shown up this many times, the system starts tipping in your favor. You create pressure, you create force, you create a shift, and eventually something gives, not because of luck, but because of relentless effort. The world bends to those who refuse to bend first. The edge is where that bending starts. And if you've made it here, if you've endured this much, it means the shift is already in motion. Right now, all you have to do is hold the line. Not spread, not shine, just hold, just stay standing. Because most people fold in the final seconds. Not because they're weak, but because they didn't realize how close they were. You are closer than you think, closer than you feel, And if you can endure just a little longer, if you can silence the noise, silence the doubt, silence the urge to quit, anything you've worked for will start to reveal itself. Not with a bang, but with a breakthrough. One that's been building with every ounce of effort you refuse to waste.